I think there's a couple of instances that stick out. I'm reading with one guy that I work with, and he said a couple of brilliant things in chapter 2 of John's Gospel, where Jesus clears the temple. He was like, wow, this is amazing. I wasn't expecting this. I said, well, what do you mean? Well, Jesus getting angry like this. He said to me, I was expecting some geezer in a dressing gown, and actually seeing him like this means this is going to get really interesting. And then we got a couple of chapters later on, and we got to the end of chapter 4, and he just said to me, it can't go on like this. And I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, Jesus can't keep wandering around the Middle East like the spiritual A-team, solving everybody's problems. There has got to be a challenge coming. So I was like, it's funny you should say that. Wait until we get into the next chapter. And this was a guy who, and you can't take for granted where people are, didn't know, he'd heard of Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, but didn't know that they were real people, that this was real history about a real person. And again, when I explained that to him, he immediately said, wow, this is going to get so much more interesting. This is real history. And it's been great to watch the Lord work in him. By the time we got to the end of chapter 5, he was saying that he had a problem. And I asked him what it was. And he said, well, Jesus has just said to the Pharisees that you're searching the scriptures, but you're not looking for me. And he's got to work out why he's doing this, because he doesn't know enough about Jesus yet. He's not sure if he loves him. And I said, well, that's absolutely fine. We've got, a few more chapters. Let's just keep going. But then he said, but it's created a problem for me. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, you cannot get to this point of the gospel and throw this in the bin and say it's a load of rubbish. This is true. And that's my problem. So that's a real encouragement. And then just recently I was reading with another friend of mine, and we've just got through the episode of Jesus raising Lazarus from the dead. And we get to the point where afterwards the Pharisees are all really upset because everyone's going after Jesus because of this public raising of the dead of Lazarus, and they make this amazing plan to kill him again. And he just couldn't stop laughing at the sheer comedy of the Pharisees planning to kill a man that had already been killed. And that was a real joy that he could see the kind of ludicrous nature of their attempt to quash what Jesus was doing.